Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Ruth, and let's chat about the culture map. I have a couple non-fiction books in the pipeline that I'll be sharing my thoughts on soon. I normally don't gravitate towards nonfiction because I kind of want to get away from real life, and that's why nonfiction isn't really like my go-to when I want to relax and read. What's kind of funny to me, I think, also is even though I like to read fiction books, I like to read about slice of life and stories about other people's lives. And so that's kind of like, in a way, reading about real life too. So make it make sense. But hey, that's what I'm into. So, Erin here, she is an expert and she works with global leaders in trying to understand and break down cultural barriers in the workplace. And I thought this was a very helpful book, especially if you are working at a company or just anywhere in general, that you have to deal with different cultures, working with different employees in different countries. And I think it's just a good way to understand and be a little bit empathetic when it comes to working with different cultures because um, we all have different ways of understanding things, looking at things, how uh, organizations are run in different countries, and how people want to be managed and their management styles. So I think this is a really good book for people to read. So I think the author does a good job also really laying out the framework and the background of why she's doing this, why it's important, and kind of just going back to um, the whole point of just compromise and being empathetic when you're working with different um, people from different countries. So she looks at everywhere, all the countries, and kind of compares them in nice little graphs and pictures that you can see. And it really helps, especially if you're a visual learner, okay, where or what your country is when it comes to these things. And I think it's really helpful. Will I apply everything that I read in here? Maybe not, because I might forget. I might have to reread things, be reminded, right? But I think, again, it's a very interesting read and a good point um, for people to start off with, especially if you're also like a new manager, maybe too, right? Could be a good book for you. Um, she does give a lot of real world examples that she's run across, especially when she's presenting to different groups. So it's good that she incorporated examples into some of the understandings. One section talked about scheduling. So I have a little question about this because she mentions that some cultures they're very flexible when it comes to time. So if they're 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late to a meeting, not that big of a deal. Versus like other cultures, you have to be on time, and if you're a minute late, it could be a very big deal. And so with scheduling for countries that are very relaxed in their time, how do you explain if you can be on time when it comes to flying out for flights? Why does that not translate to you being on time for like meetings and other things like that? So I would love to be enlightened with that topic. Um, there are other ways, maybe if you feel like, maybe you not have access to learning about different cultures, I think you can find a way. So, for me, I think one of the best ways to learn about different cultures is, of course, reading about them, whether it's a book, um, on the internet. You can go to the library, borrow a book, or if your friends have books about different cultures, you can borrow their books. Or if you have friends from different backgrounds, ask them about their culture, learn about their culture. Traveling is a good way to also do that. So I feel like there's just so many ways to learn about people's culture. And like, all these streaming services have all these different channels about nature and culture. I just feel like there isn't an excuse anymore for someone to be not at least aware of like different cultures and how they behave and do things. So, my main key takeaways that I read from this book are compromise is such a big thing in this book and in general in life. Compromise is hard, but that's definitely always the way to go. And making sure that you set expectations in the beginning. Definitely easier said than done, but just making sure that you set expectations in the beginning. Um, I think for me too, like asking questions helps. Like, oh, if I'm working with a manager, it's like, what is your communication style? Do you like to communicate through email? Or what is your management style? Or how do I like to be managed? And so just being like open communication like that really helps. It was very interesting to also learn that some cultures, they really value the back and forth versus other cultures. When you bring up your concerns, it could be taken very personally. So very eye opening when reading this book. So my overall thoughts on this book: great read. I would give it 3 stars. I would recommend you take a look at this book so that you can understand the complexity of multiculturalism. But it's a good read. Like always, please let me know your thoughts. Did you like this book? Maybe you didn't like this book. I would love to hear from you. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Happy reading.